Hey everybody, it's Shaniqua from What Shaniqua's Into, and before I even get started on today's topic, I would like to wish everybody a happy new year. Hopefully 2021 will be significantly better than 2020. But the reason that I wanted to make a video today is because with it being the new year, a lot of us in the tarot community are talking about the tarot card of the year. And there are a lot of great blog posts and things like that on the internet explaining exactly what that means, but not a whole lot of YouTube content, at least that I was able to find on this topic. So I thought I would go ahead and sort of give my thoughts on what a tarot card of the year is, why they are relevant, and whether or not it would be a good idea for you to figure out what your tarot card of the year is. So, jumping right in, essentially every year there is a card that correlates to the major arcana that serves as sort of the overall collective theme or biggest lesson that we are working through as a society, right? And the way to figure out what the card of the year is essentially just a numerical reduction. We're in the year 2021, so I'll probably put some graphics or something right here to demonstrate, but we're in the year 2021. So essentially you would just add up all of the digits in the year. I'm going to go ahead and skip the zero. So 2 plus 2 plus 1 equals 5. Now the major arcana card that is number 5 is the Hierophant. And in my deck, that Afro Drip Tarot, which should be out for kickstarting in August of this year, I have renamed that card the Griot. Now, what is the theme of this card? The Griot slash Hierophant is about things that we have been normalized to based on the institutions that are around us and that we're a part of. So that could be the biggest institution we can think of as society as a whole, all the way down to like the church or book club that you're a part of, any sort of organized hierarchical structure that's able to dictate or at least strongly suggest what is acceptable, what the norms are, and sort of spark questions about what you believe, where you got those beliefs from, why you think they are true, and what actions and behaviors you are able to notice within yourself based on that framework and belief system that you got from that structure. So for 2021, that kind of tells me that as a collective, we're all working on understanding what beliefs have been fed to us by society at large and working to sort of assess whether or not those beliefs lead to favorable outcomes in the form of encouraging overall well-being for the society, or whether or not they need to be sort of shed or upgraded or replaced. And that's something that we're all going to be working through and experiencing, obviously to different degrees based on the individual, but it's sort of a collective energy that can't be escaped because we're all living in the year 2021, right? So overall, the tarot card of the year just sort of gives you a heads up and an idea of what themes or lessons should be worked through, right? And that's for the whole collective. That's just for everyone living in the year 2021. But to figure out your own individual tarot card of the year, the math is a little bit different. So you're going to take the digits of the day of your birth and the month of your birth and add them to the digits of the year. So I'll use myself as an example. My birthday is May 30th. So the digits of my month and day of birth add up to 8. 5 plus 3 plus 0 is 8, right? And if I add that 8 to the 5 of 2021, then 8 plus 5 equals 13. The major arcana card number 13 is death. So I'm going to put up a picture of the Rider-Waite-Smith death card and then also the death card from that Afro Drip Tarot. And so these are like the themes that I'm working with this year. And so if you're a tarot novice or just not very familiar with the keywords and meanings of the cards, then you may see this imagery and be like, is she gonna die? But no. No, I plan to live all the way up until I'm 112 and then die very peacefully in my bed surrounded by my great grandkids. But that's a different story. So for me, the way I think about this overarching theme for 2021 in my life personally, I think of it as a sort of shedding of a skin, which sort of makes sense because I put a very large snake on my own death card. And this is actually the year of my Saturn return as well. So if you're into astrology, then you know Saturn is one of the very slow moving outer planets. And when it makes its way all the way back around the ecliptic to where it was at the time of your birth, that's considered a Saturn return. So for most people, that's going to be every 28 or 30 years or so. So this is my first Saturn return, and typically in astrology it's seen as the end of your childhood and entering into your adulthood stage. Or if you're more familiar with like witchy esoteric terms, I'm sort of leaving the maiden stage of life and moving into the mother stage. I'm already a mom of an awesome, beautiful little 5-year-old, so I've sort of already shifted into that, but this is just moving me into a more serious, I guess you could say, phase of life with more focus on what is being left behind once I'm gone, right? Because that's what we have to think about with death. But another theme of the death card is transformation. So it's not just shedding and leaving behind, it's also sort of like the concept of compost, right? You're taking like what's considered garbage and like food that you're done with and using that to put more nutrients into the soil to grow new things that are also going to then nurture you. So death really is about life and rebirth and the cycles that we all have to go through. Yes, death is obviously the final physical stage of human life, but death in and of itself sustains life by making sure that things are regenerated on a regular cyclical basis. So for myself personally, I feel like certain things that I had sort of let fall by the wayside in my childhood are being regenerated, like my interest in art. I've always loved art, but until I started working on that Afro Drip Tarot, I had never done digital art before. So it was very much a living the Fool experience when I started on my Fool card. But I feel like that's been reinvigorated and transformed into a skill and really just a passion and a joy that I didn't have as a child. I didn't know anything about digital art as a child. I just did like traditional sketches and coloring and that type of stuff. So I feel like that's been transformed and reinvigorated. And as this year unfolds and I get closer to launching the Kickstarter and everything like that, I feel like that's really just going to sort of more fully come into itself. Because I'm still studying a lot of different areas of art and character design and illustration. So I apply those things that I'm learning to each new card that I'm working on. And I feel like a lot of personal, I guess you could say, failings or things that I don't love as much about myself, I'm consciously working on transforming them. I have in the past had issues with like people pleasing or not really standing up for myself or enforcing my boundaries, especially with like emotionally abusive people and manipulators. Like certain things I just feel like are coming back into my life that I had let die, and certain new things I feel like are being nourished by what I'm shedding and choosing to let go because it's just no longer for me. You know what I mean? Like another example, when I was younger, like a teenager, like late high school years, early college years, I was like known for constantly, not constantly, but comfortably and very regularly calling myself awesome. People would just kind of be like, did you just call yourself awesome? Like if someone gave me a compliment or something like that, of course I would say thank you, but I'd be like, oh, thank you. Yeah, that's because I'm awesome. And I celebrated myself all the time. Like I loved myself, right? I hadn't been conditioned at that point to think that that was a bad thing. But then I, got into a relationship with somebody who kind of was emotionally abusive and convinced me like, oh, that's not good, you come off arrogant, you come off egotistical, and eventually would sort of get angry and like yell at me when I would say anything that was like celebratory about myself. So I just sort of learned to shrink and not be vocal about self-love. And as a result, obviously, my self-love started to deplete as well. Luckily, I'm no longer in that relationship, and I'm in a much better place now. But I feel like that fear of self-celebration is also something that is in the process of dying. Like I had actually even forgotten that I used to say that about myself, and I used to regularly call myself awesome because I was so conditioned not to that I just stopped completely. And when I was sort of thinking about my card of the year and doing that review, I remembered, wow, I used to say that all the time, like jokingly, of course, not ever intending to be arrogant or anything like that. But I let someone else convince me through cruelty that I was wrong for loving myself enough to say it on a regular basis. And when I had that memory, I made the conscious decision to reinvigorate and rebirth that vocal self love and to not feel weird and awkward if I say, yeah, I'm fucking awesome, because I am. you know? So saying all of that to say, your tarot card of the year can really help to illuminate and clarify what you're already working on and what this year is going to help kind of solidify for you. And whether it's a scary card like death or a great card like the magician or something like that, every single tarot card and every single human life theme has its own pros and cons, and we all come to those things with our own strengths and weaknesses. So don't look at whatever card is for you specifically as good or bad. Just ask yourself, how is this being reflected? What are some of the higher vibrations, possibly some of the lower vibrations, and where and how can I, as the individual experiencing this and opening my mind up to how this might manifest, where and how can I maximize these lessons, and how can I work with my strengths and respect areas where I may be weaker. Because when you approach yourself, I mean, this is something that I'm really reintegrating and learning too, but when you approach yourself with unwavering love and respect and curiosity, you can very often and often very quickly surprise yourself with the level of insight that you have into your past and your modes of thinking and what you are building and manifesting for your future. Okay? So I hope that this video was helpful in some way, shape, or form. If you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments down below. I'm also going to post this video to IGTV, so you can do the same thing there. But if you're watching this on YouTube, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you would like to get a personal tarot reading from me, you can go to my website, writingwithtarot.com, and you can purchase a spread. Or if you have any questions or would like to have a custom spread made for you, you can use the contact me form at the bottom of the first page of my website, and I'll get back to you and we'll figure out what solution is best for you. Again, Happy New Year to everybody watching this. I sincerely hope your 2021 is way, way, way better than our collective 2020. And I will see you guys in the next video.